Hey guys, it's Saga, and my 9th video of this year is the full review of this Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge 5G after using it for over 30 days. During the last month, I used it as my primary phone for over 2 weeks, and then I used it as my secondary phone as I moved my SIM to the Xiaomi 11T Pro, which I am also testing right now. Xiaomi launched this phone in China as the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus 5G, and in India it is rebranded as the Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge 5G. But it is the same phone. Xiaomi's marketing for this phone was heavily focused on the Hypercharge feature or the 120-watt charger which is included in the box. They claim it can fully charge this phone in 15 minutes. To put these claims to test, I did a charging test video where we saw it got from 1 to 100% in just 18 minutes. Well, this is really impressive. But is super fast charging the only plus point about this phone? Or at 27,000 rupees, does it offer us anything more? Let's find out. During the course of this video, I will try and answer who exactly is this phone for. And towards the end, I will also give you some other alternatives that you might want to consider in this price range. Since we already touched on the price, let's get it out of the way first. This phone is available in two variants. There is a 6GB RAM option with 128GB of internal storage, which is available for 26,999 rupees. Then there is an 8GB RAM variant, again with 128GB of internal storage, and this one is available for 28,999 rupees. These prices are without adding any of the ongoing credit or debit card offers. This price is way higher than its predecessor, the Mi 10i. I expected it to come in at around 22 or 23,000 rupees mark. There are 4 color options to choose from: Camo Green, Pacific Pearl, Purple Mist and Stealth Black. The Pacific Pearl color gets a glossy glass back, while the other colors get a frosted matte back. I always prefer a frosted back, and I like how the Stealth Black color looks, so I went with it. We get Gorilla Glass 5 at the front, and the back has a very nice soft touch feel thanks to this frosted matte finish. Sides of this phone are flat. Not as flat as the sides of the iPhone 12 or 13, but flatter than other or previous Xiaomi phones. The frame which holds two pieces of glass together is made of plastic. For some reason, this phone doesn't feel as premium as the Redmi Note 10 Pro or the Note 10 Pro Max. I know some people have been saying otherwise, but this is what I feel. It gets IP53 rating, so it can withstand a few accidental splashes of water or a light drizzle. But you should still take care and not get it wet, as it is not completely waterproof. The 6.7-inch display makes this a big phone, and since it gets a boxier design, the back doesn't get curves towards the edges, making it feel a bit bulkier in the hand. It weighs in at 204 grams, but it doesn't feel too heavy. In fact, Xiaomi has done well to distribute this weight evenly throughout the phone's body. But due to the new design, this is not the most comfortable phone to hold with just one hand. I have the Xiaomi 11T Pro as well, and since it gets subtle curves to the edges of its back, it feels much more comfortable in my hands. I think Xiaomi should reduce the size of screen a bit, which will make their phones a bit narrower and more comfortable to hold. After the in-hand feel, let us look at some of the other design elements of this phone. At the back, other than the Xiaomi and 5G branding, we have a huge triple camera module which sticks out quite a bit. Yes, although you see 5 round camera type cutouts, there are just 3 functional cameras at the back of this phone. On top of that, this one at the top is not the real 108 megapixel camera. It's this one. And the bottom right one is not even a camera, it's just a placeholder like thing, I guess, to make the camera module look more symmetric. Other design elements include the volume and power buttons on the right side. The power button also doubles as a fingerprint sensor. So yes, this phone doesn't come with an in-display fingerprint sensor. I know this makes some of you unhappy, but trust me, this physical fingerprint sensor is much more responsive, accurate and faster than any of the in-display ones in this price range. At the top, there is a speaker grill, secondary microphone, an IR blaster and everyone's favorite 3.5mm headphone jack. Left side of the phone is clean. And at the bottom, we get a SIM tray which can either hold 2 nano SIM cards or a SIM card and a micro SD card, USB Type-C port, main microphone and a secondary speaker grill. If you have liked this video so far and if you are new to this channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. That way, you won't miss out on any of the amazing videos coming up on this channel. At the front is this beautiful 6.67-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels, 120Hz refresh rate, 360Hz touch sampling rate, peak brightness of 1200 nits and HDR10 support. So it ticks most of the boxes and doesn't fall behind any of the phones in this price range. This display panel gets Gorilla Glass 5 protection. There is a very small punch hole cutout for the selfie camera at the top. I like that this cutout is very small. I think we had a similar tiny punch hole cutout on the Mi 11X last year. Now the Mi 10i last year came with an IPS LCD display, so the AMOLED panel on this 11i is already an upgrade. Colors look good, contrast levels are excellent, and the display can get really bright in direct sunlight, especially when you're looking at HDR content. 120Hz feels really smooth and touch responsiveness is also very fast and accurate. Like on some other phones with 120Hz display, you don't really notice too many stutters or frame drops even while using it for a long time. You can enjoy HDR content in high resolution on Netflix and other streaming platforms, as this 11i Hypercharge gets wide alignment support. You can play back HDR videos on YouTube as well, but for some reason these videos appear extra sharp. Same videos don't look so sharp or unnatural on other phones, and non-HDR videos don't look as sharp on this phone, so I don't know what's happening here. The other day, I was watching one of the HDR shows on my other phones, paused it and resumed watching it on this phone, and I found that the HDR content was looking pale, desaturated and extra sharp on this display for some reason. I am playing the same video on this 11i and the iPhone 13, and you can have a look at the difference in the colors on both these phones. Again, I don't know what is the issue, but once I noticed this, it annoyed me a lot. I've tried the various color schemes in the display settings and this issue is still there. I even talked with some of the other guys who are testing this phone and everyone is facing the same issue. We have got 2 updates on this phone and none of them fixed or even mentioned this issue, which is a bit of worry. Because an issue can be fixed only if a company thinks that it is an issue to begin with. So as good as this display is, these few things annoyed me while consuming media on it. Hopefully this is some bug and could be fixed with one of the future software updates. Now the dual speakers on this phone are really crisp and loud and you get a balanced output from both the speakers. There is Dolby Atmos support as well, so whether you are streaming shows or listening to songs, overall audio listening experience on this phone is going to be really good. When I say this, I mean in this price range. While these speakers are good, they won't match up to the speakers on more premium phones. Just wanted you guys to know this. I know many people are not happy that this phone doesn't come with an in-display fingerprint sensor. You get a physical fingerprint sensor under the power button on the right side. If you have watched any of my previous videos, you know that I prefer a physical fingerprint sensor over an in-display one any day, especially in this budget smartphone segment. I have reviewed enough smartphones in the past, so I can for sure tell you that this physical fingerprint sensor is much faster than any of the in-display ones in this price range. The in-display ones are not only slow, but they are also not as accurate. You also have to wake or tap on the screen for it to work, which makes it even slower in my opinion. This phone packs in MediaTek Dimensity 920 processor and it's coupled with 6 or 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. It's a 5G capable processor and this was one of the first phones to come out with this chipset. There are 8 5G bands, so when the 5G networks will finally be available in India, you should have no issues taking advantage of the faster speeds. Although it's a new processor, Xiaomi seems to have optimized it really well for this phone other than in one key area, but we will get to it a bit later. I don't care much for benchmark scores, but here are a few for people who do. What matters to me is the real everyday performance, and the overall performance of this phone is really good. The 120Hz display seems smooth. There is no stutter in the UI, and most of the recent apps are kept open in the background. All your everyday apps like camera, email, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp and more are quick to open, so all in all I would say it's a good overall phone. I am not much of a gamer, but for the games that I tried out, performance was really smooth without any lags or stutters. I don't play BGMI, but some of my friends who do tell me that it works on smooth and extreme settings without any issue. For reference, I feel its performance is comparable or really close to the Snapdragon 778G, which is great. For even better gaming performance, you might want to go with the Mi 11X or some of the other phones with the Snapdragon 870 or Dimensity 1200 chips. One of the best points about this chip is that it doesn't get too warm or hot. No matter how much load you are putting on it, the performance is not throttled and the phone, especially the back, doesn't get too hot, which is always appreciated. Network and cellular reception is really good. You also get carrier aggregations and 8 5G bands as I mentioned before. You can also use 2 5G SIM cards, which we don't see too often on phones in this price range. The haptic motor inside feels really good and strong for a phone in this price range, and this lifts your overall usage experience. Out of the box, this Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge was running a version of MIUI 12.5 Enhanced, which is good, but it is still built on top of Android 11. I've got a couple of updates on this phone in the last month, and currently it is running MIUI 12.5.4. Xiaomi said that Android 12 update for this phone will be released very soon, but the exact date was not mentioned. This time, Xiaomi also didn't tell us how many major software updates and security updates this phone will get. Overall, MIUI 12.5 experience is as you would expect. It's a heavy skin on top of Android 11, which depending on your preference you may or may not like. The overall phone feels smooth to use. The UI feels familiar if you have used any of the Xiaomi or Redmi phones in the past. There were a few pre-installed apps, most of which you could uninstall if you want. Now I have had occasional freezes or crashes while using third-party apps, but we can consider them to be app compatibility issues which can be taken care of by updating the apps and not actual issue with MIUI. All in all, you won't be disappointed with the software experience on this phone. The battery and charging is another thing that might put a smile on your face. The 4500 mAh battery will easily last you an entire day and then some. I put it through a lot of testing in the initial few days, and I would get a screen on time of close to 6 hours with some amount of battery still remaining at the end of the day. I used the camera a lot, had maps on, was playing back songs on its speaker, took a few calls, checked and replied to a few mails throughout the day, and was checking social media every now and then. For this kind of use, you can get 6 hours or maybe even more screen on time. I don't play a lot of games, but if you are a gamer, the battery might not last as long for you. But that is where the best feature of this phone comes in: 120 watt super fast charging. Xiaomi claimed that this charger would take this phone from 0 to 100% in just 15 minutes. But in reality, it takes slightly over 18 minutes, which is still extremely fast. If you feel like the phone is a bit low on battery by the evening, you can just connect it to the 120 watt charger, which comes in the box by the way, and in just 5 to 7 minutes, you will have added 40 to 50% juice in the battery, which I think would be more than enough to take you through the remaining day. This is easily the best feature on any of the phones that I have ever used. People are worried about safety issues and longevity of the battery, but Xiaomi assures that they have quite a few systems in place to ensure that this charging speed is safe. They also claim that with these charging speeds, the battery will hold over 80% of the charging capacity even after 800 charge cycles, which is much more than what other manufacturers claim. Sadly, there is no way to test this out right now, and we will just have to wait and watch as the years go by. If you don't want such fast charging speeds, you can go with the regular 11i, which comes with a 67 watt charger instead of the 120 watt one. Or you can turn off the push charging option from the battery settings on this phone, which limits the maximum charging rate, if that makes you feel safer. Now the design is new and good. With Gorilla Glass 5, it is definitely durable. We get a 120Hz AMOLED display, speakers are amazing, Dimensity 920 gives us a very smooth overall experience, battery easily lasts for more than a day, and the charging is extremely fast. All this sounds too good to be true, right? After all, no smartphone is perfect, so what is the catch with this Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge? What is its baggage? Well, it's the cameras. It gets a 108 megapixel Samsung HM2 sensor for its main camera. While it's a good image sensor, I can tell you that shots from this phone look average at best. There are not enough details in the daytime shots. Colors are not the most accurate. HDR mode needs a bit of work. Edge detection for portrait shots is good, but humans in the shots look over sharpened. And there is just a lot of noise in the low light shots. Night mode does help a little in these lighting conditions, but this phone won't be my first choice in this price range to take images after the sun goes down. The wide lens and the selfie camera do their job, but they are nothing out of the ordinary. And the 2 megapixel macro camera is just useless in almost all lighting conditions. This is the same company that has used 5 megapixel telemacro cameras in the phone, which has costed 10,000 rupees less than this. So I don't know what went wrong and why they have decided to cut so many corners when it comes to the cameras. This is not the first time Xiaomi is using this 108 megapixel Samsung HM2 sensor. We have seen it on other phones like the Mi 11X Pro and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. But those phones have Snapdragon processors which are said to have better ISP, and this one is a MediaTek processor. I feel MediaTek processors don't have the best ISP. Or maybe Xiaomi needs more time to fine-tune its ISP to take better advantage of this sensor. Whatever it is, I was hoping the cameras on this phone to get better with software updates, but just like with the display issue, the last two updates didn't even mention about improving the camera performance, so I'm really started to think that this is as good as the cameras on this phone are going to get. For a lot more image and video samples, and for a more closer look at these cameras, make sure to check out my detailed camera review of this phone. I will leave a card to it on the top right corner of your screen and also link it in the description section. I was hoping for the cameras on this phone to be decent at least, because rest of the phone is really good. But since the cameras are just average at best, I am finding it really difficult to recommend it to anyone. After having spent over 25,000 rupees on a phone, I believe we deserve to get better cameras than this. If you are someone who needs a good phone with a newer design, amazing speakers and really good everyday performance, but you don't use the cameras on your phone all that much, or if you just take few images, that too during the daytime, then I would say you can think about going with this Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge. Or better yet, you can even go with the regular Xiaomi 11i, which comes with a 67 watt charger. It gets a bigger battery and it costs less than this. But if the cameras on your phone are even slightly important to you, then I would say that you should look at some of the other options in this price range. If you want even better performance and slightly better cameras, then you can look at the OnePlus Nord 2. For similar performance but slightly better cameras, check out the Vivo V23 5G. For a much better overall performance but similar cameras, check out last year's Mi 11X. Samsung M52 and IQ7 are few of the other options to consider in this price range. If you want an overall better phone with really good cameras and you don't mind spending a bit extra, go with the Xiaomi 11i Pro. It is one of the best phones under 40,000 rupees that I have tested in long time. So if you want to skip this phone, there are a few options for you guys. But as I said, other than having mediocre set of cameras and the slight desaturation issue while playing HDR content, this 11i Hypercharge is a good phone. So if you feel you can compromise a bit on the cameras, or if extreme fast charging is a must feature for you, then you can still go with it. I understand that this phone comes with a 120-watt charger in the box and all, but honestly, I don't think anyone really asked for it, especially at this price point. I'm sure most people would have been happy with a 67-watt charger as well if this phone was priced a bit lower. So looking at the camera performance and considering everything else, I just feel the price should have been a bit lower. After all, it's a rebranded Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus, and if it started at around 21 or 22,000 rupees mark, which is still much more than what the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max came in last year, maybe we would have been less critical towards its cameras. That being said, it is still a fairly new phone, been out for just a month, and Xiaomi still has a lot of time to take care of some of the issues which I mentioned and make it a lot better. Hopefully, they are working towards this. This is what I feel about the Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge, and I would not give my bad recommendation to this phone. Anyways, what do you guys feel about this phone? And is fast charging enough of a reason for you guys to consider any phone? Let me know in the comments. After all this, if you guys still want to buy this phone or the regular 11i, you can do that from the affiliate links in the description section. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.